After you choose your event for your on-demand geofilter, there's a few things to keep in mind that will help guide the brainstorming and concepting process for you. Just keep in mind that this is for an event, and the best way for a on-demand geofilter to stand out is to really appeal to the people at the event and have some interactivity with that geofilter that makes them want to use the geofilter over just taking a picture. For example, my first on-demand geofilter was targeted towards college students at the library during midterms week. And rather than just putting midterms on the geofilter, I put midterms got me like, and that prompted the Snapchat user to take a selfie with the geofilter so they could express how they were feeling to their friends without actually saying it. They just needed to use the geofilter. So that's what you want to do with your on-demand geofilters. You want to create a scenario to where the geofilter adds to the photo or video rather than it just saying what it is or even taking away from the photo or video. Now with that being said, let's go over to the brainstorming and concepting process, and I'll show you how I do it each step of the way on paper. When brainstorming ideas for an on-demand geofilter, there are three main aspects that make up a great geofilter. So the first aspect to consider is what makes the time and location special. Is there an event, a party, or some kind of social gathering at that time and location? If so, list off the things that are happening and what makes them special. Next to consider is what type of people will be there and what will they be doing during that time and location. And lastly, what are some fun aspects that people might snap that are specific to that event? Will it be them taking selfies of them having a good time, or will they be more documenting their surroundings, or maybe a combination of both? So to start off, let's first cover what makes the time and location special. And for my example, I will be using the midterms geofilter that I've created for my university during midterms week. So the time for this geofilter was 36 hours leading up to the final day of midterms week. And the location was the 24-hour study area on campus. So what made this time and location special was that there was a lot of people studying on campus before their final test the next day. A lot of these people were going to pull all-nighters, and that's why I set it to last throughout the night. So one thing that made it special was studying, all-nighters, study groups, and because they're studying for long hours, they probably had a lot of study breaks, possibly coffee and food breaks, and some collaborating. Next is to understand what the people in that location at that time are actually doing. First is studying. They're probably talking, collaborating, listening to music, on the computer, taking study breaks, coffee and food breaks, and also focused on their own work. And lastly, what are some fun aspects that people might snap at this location and during that time? One might be the fact that they're pulling an all-nighter. Another could be study groups. It could be coffee and food breaks. And it could be collaborating. Now, if we fill in the insides, we'll start to get a better idea of what the commonalities between these three subjects are. So between section 1 and section 2, the commonalities seem to be studying, collaborating, and coffee and food breaks. Between category 2 and category 3, the similarities are coffee and food breaks, and also collaborating. And the similarities between 1 and 3 are all-nighters, study groups, coffee and food breaks, and collaborating. And so the commonalities between all of them happen to be coffee and food breaks and collaborating. And now with the brainstorming filled out, you should have several ideas and directions you could possibly go in. And just keep in mind that you don't have to go with whatever's in the middle. You could pick and choose the ones that you feel best, but this gives you a better idea of the relationship between the three aspects that will help make your geofilter design that much better. For example, with this geofilter, instead of just going with coffee and food breaks and collaborating since they're in the middle, I chose to do a concept around the idea that they were taking a few coffee and food breaks, as well as them being focused on their own work. And this is because although collaborating is something that's special to the time and location, and also might be fun for some people to snap, that would be fun for a few people, while most people would be focused on their own work. So this is an example of where I was able to use my own judgment to see what's best for the geofilter and for the event. And this is because although collaborating is special to the time and location, and also might be something that people would like to snap, for the most part, most people would be focused on their own work. And I wanted a geofilter that could be used by most people and used while they're taking a coffee or food break. So I chose to go with this and with coffee and food breaks. And this is just an example of using your best judgment for what's best for your geofilter and using the brainstorming as a guideline. So now that you have a few ideas and directions from this brainstorming, I want you to hold on to this and we'll revisit these ideas and directions in the designing module. Hopefully now you have several potential concepts you could work with, and I just want you to pick one. Just pick the best one you think you would want to work with, and in the next module we'll work out building out the design into a fully fledged geofilter. In the next lesson we'll cover some of the basic design principles you should keep in mind when designing your geofilter.